Helping us out every single week and every single day, even when he's not here. He joins me every Friday. It's Michael Johns. He's one of the co-founders of the Tea Party movement. He was a speechwriter for President George H.W. Bush, and a great friend of the show, policy analyst. Mike, it seems like this corona vaccine, everybody's saying, oh, okay, we should have it by December, we should have it by January, and all this other stuff. Every single person, and I've been asking a lot of moms this question, like women, just to see, because women, women are a little more cognitively objective than us men. They're more interested in safety and security. They care about, they have that motherly instinct. I've been asking women a lot, if this vaccine is available in January, are you going to give it to your kids? And I'm telling you, it's almost unanimous. No one says yes. They don't want to give it to their kids. So what's the point?
Well, and why that's important, why it's essential, is because it's not even an issue as it relates to that particular individual's health, which obviously is important. But in vaccinations, there is a thing called herd immunity, meaning we could have the greatest vaccine ever created for this novel virus. And yet, if we're not getting 60, 70, 80% participation in the vaccination level, you aren't reaching the number of individuals that provides any beneficial clinical effect for prevention for the non-vaccinated. So as I've been looking at this, firstly, you have to give, again, credit to this president, $10 billion allocation in public-private partnerships, which are always very difficult to navigate in the development of a vaccine that's good. We've never had a vaccine in the history of the world developed in under 4 years. The mumps vaccine, which predated the MMR vaccine in the 1960s, was developed in 4 years, and that was considered an unbelievable scientific accomplishment. This is a virus for which we've had no historical exposure to it really before this year, and it's a complicated virus. It very well could, and it looks like it was an animal to human transmission in the origin, but possibly. There's a lot of complicating factors, and there's still a lot of unknown questions. But $10 billion allocated, $3 billion of that to NIH for their own research. 7+ has gone into these commercial undertakings. I think as I looked at those, and I saw GlaxoSmithKline involved, Sanofi. A lot of European-based companies, which again reiterates the importance of developing our own U.S.-based infrastructure for these issues. Janssen, which I believe is in Belgium, Novavax is U.S.-based. They've been pretty involved. Pfizer has probably the most developed vaccine at this point. They're heading into phase 3 trials. And of course, the other issue is just on participation. It's not just the reluctance to do it, but when you participate in the trials, you've got the kind of the double-blind placebo approach, which means you have a 50% chance of getting a placebo and not getting the vaccine.
Right.
So to the extent that you do conclude, hey, look, this is a real threat to my health, and I want the vaccine, we got to get like as many as 30,000 people to participate in trials. 15,000 of whom will
get nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's always been a challenge, and it's been a particular challenge before coronavirus in patients who've had fatal disease. Because in those cases, individuals really are operating with breakneck urgency, and the last thing they want is a placebo. Drug development's hugely important. It's hugely complicated. Again, this president, I think, is just right on target in both the approach he's taken to it, the way he's forged these public-private partnerships. And if we have a vaccine that is successful, and by the way, you got to put successful into context. The FDA they want a 50% success rate in this vaccine to approve it. So even in those cases, it's not fully 100% effective. Just like the MMR vaccine is not fully effective, just like the flu vaccine is, like 60% effective.
Well, unless of course you're Russia, and then you have a fully tested vaccine already ready to give out, and even Vladimir Putin said he even gave it to his daughter. So how crazy is that?
Vladimir Putin hasn't taken it yet. and the daughter's is sort of uncompromised and hearsay, in my judgment. That never went. That was a Sputnik 5 program. I think they had a great degree, as Russia always has had in every aspect of scientific development, a great degree of national pride. And they kind of skipped a bunch of these testing steps, which were essential. And as you know, but for the purposes of your audience, you kind of go through, 3 phases: animal testing, phase 1, phase 2. You go through really kind of assessing the safety of the medication, first in a small population, and then in a larger population, and then phase 3 looks at the efficacy. Does this prospective drug actually work?
Yeah, Mike. Just to bring it back into, both of our realm a little bit, my background is in short selling. So I've been involved in all kinds of trades around pharmaceutical companies. And I'm usually short. So we're usually hoping that the FDA turns them down. You know what I'm saying? Because that's bad news. And then the stock tanks. And then it's a few more months for them to correct the stuff from the FDA. And then all the lead up is this time they're going to get it. This time they're going to get it. This time they're going to get it. And it goes up. And then the FDA says, nope, still no good. And then it tanks again. And the shorts make tons of money on that stuff. But I have never, ever seen one company that I've followed that just gets green lighted, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, with no pushback whatsoever. So that, just not as a medical guy, as a market guy, this is unprecedented. And I think it probably will lead to not the best solution.
Well, I started my healthcare career, at least at Eli Lilly, one of the larger pharmaceutical companies in the world, and I also worked with a company in Long Island, national company that was involved extensively in staffing for clinical trials. And these issues, both the speed of them and the regulatory impediments, and then on the other side, maintaining the public safety, have been a real tug of war between the industry and our government. And of course, one thing that I had noted even before coronavirus was the fact that the anti-vax movement in this country, which I believe lacks scientific validity, but which can't be flippantly dismissed because these are very passionate people. They have anecdotal cases. They personally are very convinced. I have no reason to doubt their sincerity. We have in this country had a sort of steady erosion of confidence in vaccination safety. And that's on conventional vaccines, like the MMR vaccine, which is commonly given in the first few years of life.
Right.
Like the flu vaccine, which is given to millions of people every year. Individuals who really have somehow come to some generally wrong, probably wrong scientifically conclusion that there is an undeniable correlation between this and other side effects. For the purposes of a new vaccine for a new virus, I think there's a lot of skepticism out there, and that gets to the point of how this administration needs to respond, both from the public health standpoint and the political dimension of this, given that we got an army of highly compensated Biden, Harris people that are looking to make the president look foolish. They really have to get out front in ultimately communicating the safety, the efficacy, and the importance of.
I heard Dr. Anthony Fauci on with Mark Levin a couple of weeks ago, and Fauci. I don't know why Trump is not pounding this, but Fauci was saying to Levin that that nothing he's recommended to the president has the president rejected. Shutting down, it turns out that shutting down the inbound flights from China and other places probably saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
He was against it, though, wasn't he? I thought Fauci was against that. I don't know.
I think he was too, but this is what he's saying on Levin now. In hindsight, he's saying, and I think he did a fantastic job. Almost amazing is what he said. Nearly amazing effort, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's obviously a highly competent person. There's been a lot of criticism of him. My sources, contacts in the administration and in HHS and elsewhere feel positively about him, that he's sincere. Yeah. If you want to drill down to his politics, did he vote for Donald Trump in 2016? I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Yeah, of course not.
Probably not.
All right.
And I do think there's an importance to have kind of a monolithic message,
I don't think Trump has that yet. Mike, we're going to have to talk about it next week We're running out of time here, but that's Michael Johns.